blue moon reappears, which comes but once each 100 years. Bring them, and I guarantee a child as perfect as child can be. You wish to have...
The Disney-produced multi-fairy tale fantasy Into the Woods sings and dances its way into third place at this week's box office, taking in $31 million.
One, a cow as white as milk.
Look me in the eye. I swear.
The Angelina Jolie-directed World War II drama Unbroken narrowly edges out Into the Woods and soars to second place, taking in just under $32 million.
You started this. You will forgive me if I finish it.
When faced with death, what can anyone do?
The Hobbit Battle of the Five Armies emerges victorious again this weekend. The final installment in the trilogy once again captures the #1 spot and $41 million. Jason Gorber is a critic with twitchfilm.com, joins us now from Toronto. Hello.
Hello there.
Hello. What did you think of Big Eyes? Let's talk about that first.
So, one of the nice things about being a film critic is I actually skip most trailers, so I actually go in oblivious to a lot of movies. This film started up, I'm like, oh yeah, Tim Burton did this. And what has Tim Burton been doing recently? Well, he's been making okay films. And this is another okay Tim Burton film. It's not terrific. It's the story of Keen, who was, I don't want to give too much away because if you don't know about it, it's one of the twists in the film. But let's just say it's an artist who painted in the, I guess, early 60s, these paintings, or 50s, these big, big eyes. And people were fascinated by this. Andy Warhol in particular said, well, if people buy them, it must be art. So there's this whole drama from the late 50s and the 60s going on about the identity of the artist and all this stuff that sort of plays out in an interesting way. You can totally see why it's up Tim Burton's alley. It just didn't come together for me. It's a decent film, not an amazing one.
Okay, and how is Mark Wahlberg in The Gambler? I heard about that movie.
Right, so The Gambler looks fantastic on paper. Again, there's so much stuff here. It's a remake of a film from the 70s. All the ingredients there. I will say this has an incredible performance by John Goodman, one that is absolutely amazing, worth seeing the whole film for. But overall, it's only okay. Again, we got a lot of okay this week. The James Toback original apparently is much, much darker, but this one sort of comes together. All the ingredients are there for it to be really terrific, like a gritty, almost like a Coen Brothers film, but the ending really makes it fall apart, and it's like it's reaching for something it doesn't quite get there.
Yeah, I saw the trailer, and you see Mark Wahlberg looking really, he's lost a lot of weight, too. I don't know if that was purposeful in that role? Or?
I mean, he fluctuates so much, you know, the Pain and Gain and all that stuff. He goes big, he goes small. He's an incredible performer and an even bigger producer. I mean, some of the stuff he does on television is really remarkable. But again, as a film, it just didn't come together as much as I wanted it to.
Now, what's the musical fantasy Into the Woods about?
Right, so Into the Woods, Stephen Sondheim, big mega musical, 600,000 people have seen this musical. It is, if you like the musical, a perfectly fine adaptation of it. I don't particularly like the musical. I love musicals, but Sondheim for me is I've described it as like food critic food, and I say this as a film critic. But this stuff when you're sick of the other musicals, so you want something that's a little bit meatier. For me, it lacks sort of an effervescence, a sort of musicality that really drives it together. It's a perfectly fine rendition with some great stars. It just doesn't come together for me.
And Meryl Streep, was she good in that?
Meryl Streep's always great in everything. She's playing a witch, which is something that she said she wasn't going to do, but she comes together and worked with Sondheim directly on her performance. Again, for people who are big fans of the musical, some of them are really loving this movie, and it's doing super well. It is a twist on all these sort of, the melange of all these fairy tales. If you like what it's doing, I think you'll like it. For me, I just found it didn't really work. I didn't really like Chicago either, which is Rob Marshall's the same director as this. But there's a few performers like Johnny Depp that make an appearance. It's worth seeing if you're a fan of the musical. If you're not, this is not going to convert you.
Okay, we got about 20 seconds, but Mr. Turner seeing release in North America. How was it?
Mike Leigh, very, very good film. Again, some people think it was one of the best films of the year, and Timothy Spall's performance is absolutely great. Worth seeing for that alone. Again, Mike Leigh is a tremendous talent, and definitely check out all of his films.
Okay, thanks so much, Jason.
All the best.